Greetings, everyone. My name is Cassandra Faye Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And let's see here. Okay, so let me put that one aside. So, that's aside. All right. So today is 11/26/2024. Today is exactly 1 week after we did this ritual, this ceremony, to recognize and honor the reunion of the goddess Oya and Shango, also known as Pluto, entering into Aquarius. And today, like every day, is a day of days, okay? But before I begin telling you what happened today very briefly and going into, let's see, and going into the book reading, because I haven't read for a while and I really wanted to read this book. I, Cassandra Faye Floyd, as a peculiar expression of the almighty and divine She, am joining in breath with my family to conspire on behalf of the whole made well. We are breathing these words together to ensure that our home, her body, is restored to her original perfect glory, a glory that is perfect in peace, love, bliss, happiness, and ecstasy. This world exists because we collectively will it so. We are the representatives of the Mother's reign on earth. This beautiful conspiracy is spoken as one cosmic earthly orchestra to guarantee heaven on earth. With the power of my mother and our mothers, we welcome this glorious future into the now. It is as we say, Mommy and I are one. So let me tell you, I'm going to do a very short version of what happened today. And it didn't occur to me until a little later that this was exactly a week since we did this ritual. I woke up this morning because my cats never do this and woke me up at 3:30 scratching on my door, trying to get at my door. I was like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? So I woke up with an attitude, and I was so upset about my cats cutting the hell up that early that I couldn't go back to sleep. So after dumb scrolling for a while, I got up at like 6 out of the bed and decided to go for a walk before I got busy in the house, because I knew as soon as I sat down to the computer and fill in these jewelry orders, I would be sitting for hours. So I was like, you know what? I'm up, can't get back to sleep. I'll take a walk. I opened my YouTube channel to try to find something, to listen to while I'm on my walk this morning. And the first thing that I see is a live from Lotus Flower. And for those of you who haven't been following me very long, Lotus Flower interviewed me. She has her own channel, and she had interviewed me maybe about 6 or 7 months ago. And I put the link to that interview in the description for this video. It was called The Rise of the Divine Feminine. That was the name of the interview. Okay. It was like 2 hours, something like that. And she had been following me for some time, and there was like a little relationship between her, the sister named Bondi Blue, and this other sister, Erica De Niro TV, right? And so this is how I got linked up with Lotus Flower. So the video that was live this morning was from Lotus Flower. And I was like, oh, because I saw her face before I read the details. You feel me? I was like, oh, it's Lotus Flower. But then I noticed that she had changed the name of her channel. The name of her channel had been Lotus Flower. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I go to listen to this live child by a sister who interviewed me on her show called The Rise of the Divine Feminine. Okay. She has changed the name of her channel to Defender of Christ. I was like, what? I read the title. I was like, wait, what? So I was like, well, let me check out this live and see what the hell is going on. And for an hour and 25 minutes, this woman talked. It was concerning. I'll be honest. It was concerning because it was just concerning. Because I don't. It was concerning. I'll be honest. I was dismayed and bewildered. I was. And that's not even the punchline. Since I started organizing for the thing on November 19th. And I didn't start organizing the thing for November 19th until that Monday right before the election. So November 4th. So I had only been organizing the event for the 19th for a week. And when I sent out a text to people that I know personally here about the ceremony, there was one sister I hadn't talked to in a couple of years. But I was like, you know what? It'd be good to see her. Let me send her a text. Send her a text with the Eventbrite link. And she immediately responds. She was like, it's so good to hear from you. And I appreciate the invite, but I don't attend stuff like that no more. A miracle happened in my life, and I gave my life back to the Lord Jesus Christ, our Savior. Child, when I say the response text was a paragraph long, child, she had to witness to me in the text. She said, I'll be praying for you. And I sent her a one-word text back. I said, don't. And then I blocked her number. You feel me? I was like, what the what? Yep. And this girl is in the industry. Like she is a professional in the industry out here. Talking about she done gave her life to her Lord, Jesus Christ and Savior. So she don't do that kind of stuff no more. Okay. That happened. And then today, exactly a week after we did the ceremony, this sister, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken. I know she's had her channel longer than me. I think she said that she had her channel 7 years. That's how I thought she said. 7 years. She's been on here talking about the great cosmic mother, the goddess, the rise of the divine feminine, the men this, the men that. You feel me? She had kind of a little edgier position about the men than I do. My position about men ain't edgy at all. If you have me tell it, ain't even controversial. You feel me? And so some of these women, had much harder lines. Like she had a hard position about celibacy and she had a hard line. She had a hard line about like women being celibate and like being celibate because, fuck these men. That was her position, right? She had positions that I did not necessarily rock with, but in general, that's what she's been talking about for 7 years. As a matter of fact, she was one of the ones I was telling y'all that kept sending me videos about Princella. Oh, you sound like Princella. Even in the interview that she did with me, she mentioned Princella again. You feel me? So she was more edgy in that way, right? And today, I had to come home and apologize to my cats because I was so mad. I was so mad that they woke me up so early this morning, making all this damn noise. And they don't ever do that. And I was like, when I went out on the walk and I saw this madness, I was like, these cats woke me up because they was like, bitch, get up. This shit needs your attention. Like, you can't miss it. Something happening and you need to see it. Because as soon as I walked out the door and turned my YouTube on, it was the first thing that came up was this live that she was doing in real time. It was, without trying to sound like I am bashing, because I'm not. I didn't feel angry or like what the fuck or anything like that. I felt like the first question I had is, how do you unsee? I did a whole live about that, right? Or y'all don't know if y'all remember that over the summer. I did a whole live. Like, once you see, you cannot unsee. And the whole thing was about like, look, These are my positions. This is the line. This is what we about over here. So be mindful. Be very discerning about your decision to stay up on here or to not stay up on here, because once you see, you cannot unsee. That was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that stuff this morning. I was like, how do you get into this deep, visceral, all engrossing relationship with the mother because as soon as a little crack breaks in the conditioning, she is like chiseling away at that shit. She going in on you, chiseling away the debris. And I'm always saying that once you see, you cannot unsee. That's the plague. That's the thing that everybody always talks about. What do they say? Ignorance is bliss. Once you see, you cannot unsee. You can't go back to the way things were. You can't see the world the way you used to. And then I am watching this video this morning, and this sister has a big old giant. She's sitting in her car, got a big old giant, one of them old school Bibles. She said it was her mama's Bible. Old school Bible in the car, beating on the Bible, streaming full on tears, snotting and carrying on, streaming full on tears, talking about y'all are insane. And the reason I know y'all are insane is because I was insane too. Out here, worshiping the devil and being a pagan and talking about and worshiping the mother and worshiping the vagina. I was insane too. But then I had to realize that my mother and my grandmothers and my father and my grandfathers had been praying over my life, my whole life, so that I never got so far away that I couldn't come back. As painful as it was, I watched that whole video twice today in amazement that this sister in the industry, the other sister, sends me a long dissertation about the miracle of her giving her life to Christ and how she can't come to my thing, right? And a turnaround, and a week later, this Black woman with thousands of followers who has been preaching from the mountaintops that we need to do away with our relationships with men, that we need to stand firm in our commitment to the goddess. When she interviewed me, y'all remember she was holding that big old gold the whole time, holding it on her chest like this. And every time I said something that resonated with her, she was like, yes, holding up the arm. And child, just a couple of months later, she talking about Father God. Child, she must have said Father God 100 times in that hour. She was like, how, talking about the mother, y'all. How are you going to worship the created and not worship the creator? All these women out here talking about the goddess. There is no goddess. What does the Bible say? That you are faithfully and wonderfully made. That I knew you before you were in your mama's womb or some shit like that. How y'all gonna worship the created talking about your mother? How y'all gonna worship the created? Didn't the Bible say, don't be worshiping idols? Don't be worshiping anything that is not in you. Child. Now, let me tell you something. And this is the reason I decided I was going to read Beyond God the Father tonight, was this experience that I had today. Let me tell you something. I was not demoralized by what happened today. It was definitely an intervention. We are exactly a week out from this radically gangster motherfucking ritual that we just executed last week that still got me in my feelings. You understand? Still got me weighted down. I slept for 2 whole days after that ceremony. And our candle finally burnt to the bottom. I did not let it, I did not blow it out. And so this morning I woke up and it was on its way out. Okay. So everybody's names that you powerful witches chiseled up into this joint, is that right up there, getting all the attention for what? Almost a week. That candle burned for almost a week. And so, yeah, and I've been for the last 2 days researching how I'm going to make the talismans for the other ritual that we did. Let me pull it out. The cauldron ritual that we did. Oh, all y'all stuff is right up in here. And I also want to say that if there are any of you who participated in the cauldron ritual, writing the names on the paper, and you want to send them to me as opposed to like burn them at your own house or do whatever you're going to do at your own house, you can mail those to me and they'll put them right up in here with the rest of these, with the rest of this ash that I'm going to construct our little talismans with. That's going to take some time, so don't be harassing me about that shit. After all this woman has read, because that's what she did a lot. She talked about all the deep books that she had read over the years. Her library was as nice as mine. And so Sister Voiceovers by Stephanie Marie said the archaeological evidence that women were here and why we outnumber men, that's common sense. And honey, what happens with Christianity is logic and common sense goes out the door. It does. It's a requirement. What did I tell you in Beyond God the Father when Nixon's, press writer or whatever was like, people can't be logical. We have to, what did he say? We have to woo them and convince them to vote by faith. That's what he said. We have to convince them to vote by faith. You feel me? We can't have nobody be able to think clearly out here. And I ain't gonna get into a whole diatribe, but that happened today. And it was deep. I put the link to her video up in the description too. You ain't gotta watch it if you don't want to. It's hard to watch. It was deep. It was so deep. It was so deep. But I told y'all going into that ritual on the 19th. As a matter of fact, I've been telling y'all for months. Be able in any given second to understand exactly what it is you're looking at. Because people are going to really, she started out. Let me tell you how she started out. I've been telling y'all, the Bible been saying it, that in this time, the signs and symbols would be undeniable. They would be everywhere. The signs and the symbols of the end coming. She said that. And how about every single sign and symbol that she mentioned was black? Isn't that convenient? Isn't that interesting? I told y'all that when I did the whole music as a spell piece, and how it was always so confusing to me when I would hear brothers talking about the Illuminati takeover of hip hop, and the evidence of the Illuminati takeover of hip hop was all ancient African symbols. I was like, this is weird. Like, why would it be African symbols? Why are we being told by conscious black men to fear everything that is a remnant of our impact on earth, our impact on culture, our impact on history? Why is that? That always confused me. Didn't mean that I didn't believe that there was something really sinister behind the industry itself. But I'm like, damn, how all the witches she mentioned, how all the devil worshipers she mentioned, how all the Satanists she mentioned in her whole thing were black. These the only demons. These the only fallen angels. She talking to all that man. Demons, fallen angels, Satanists, in this video this morning. And every single solitary one that she mentioned was black. Christian nationalism is white nationalism. It don't matter how black the Christian is. They're white nationalists. They hate black people. They hate blackness. They hate the dark. Even if they love their people now. Even if they love their community. It's like a duel happening in their own brain. A constant contest, a constant battle being waged between the soft, the mild, the deep, the quiet mother, and the rowdy, rambunctious, overbearing, misogynistic, mother-slaying white nationalist, patriarch. We all got that duality happening in our own consciousness. And depending upon where you are in your life is going to determine what has most power in your spirit, your consciousness, your mind. Is it going to be the white nationalist that hates his mother and slays her any opportunity he gets? Or is it going to be the mother finally getting enough power to rise above her son and hopefully calm him down and shake the shit out of him? You feel me? What's it going to be? And to see this sister, who I spent almost 3 hours talking to on this interview called The Rise of the Divine Feminine, that thing was, I don't know, maybe 5 months ago. To hear her talking about the inherent wickedness of us, child. The inherent wickedness of us, and how I know y'all insane because I was insane too. So insane that I leapt both feet forward into paganism. She then reduced the majesty of the mother to sheer paganism. That's what she did. And I also did a live not too long ago when everybody was in their feelings about Princella. I did this live. They not like us and I'm not like them. The first one. And what did I say? What did I say? So she may have had, what's the opposite of an epiphany? What's the opposite? What's the antonym for an epiphany? You know what I'm saying? When your ass go back into oblivion, when your ass go back into bullshit, when you backslide back into Christianity. When you backslide back into Christianity, what's the opposite of an epiphany? So this girl and her opposite of an epiphany, you feel me, then got in her car crying for an hour, yelling for an hour, literally like she turned into a preacher, like a hellfire and brimstone, Bible thumping, pulpit slamming preacher damn near overnight. She was up in there acting like a preacher. And Father God, and Father God. I was like, whoa. 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 But I told you, and I've been telling you since 2020, this shit has not gotten deep yet. Yup, not even COVID. This shit has not gotten deep yet. Nope, not even voting for Trump. The shit has not gotten deep yet. The shit ain't gotten deep yet. And all the while, the chaos that we are experiencing is the whirlwinds of Yah shaking everything that can't come to the future loose. She's shaking everything that can't move forward loose. She's shaking everything off that refuses to evolve. And that shit is terrifying for people who do not understand what it is they are looking at, what they are witnessing in real time. And so the fear of that, the terror of that, the uncertainty and confusion of what it is they're looking at will drive them right back into the wicked ass embrace of they cracker Christ. Every time. Every time. Every time. Without any other vision that's mass, without a vision, without something to yield all that hope to, when they see crisis like Trump being in office, especially Black Christians, this is a crisis for them. 92% of registered Black female voters, 92% of registered Black female voters voted in this election to, in their mind, rescue the group from the horrors of what would be Trump in office. That's what they went there for. That's how they hedged their bet. You feel me? But the problem is that kind of fear, and then right after it, all the lament. People showing videos that first week. People showing videos of themselves crying in the car and in disbelief and all of this shit. Let me tell you something. Go back to the video that I did called, I don't remember, but it was a temple service video I did in July. As a matter of fact, it was a temple service video that I did in July, the very first week of July, because my grandkids came for 4th of July and were with me for the whole week. So it was that second week in July that I did that temple service. Go back and watch that video. It'll say temple service, something. Because I just watched it today. And I was like, why did I click on this? I watched it today. I was like, whoa. On that video in July, where Kamala had not even been announced as the Democratic nominee yet. That was the same weekend that phony ass, horribly scripted assassination attempt of Trump. And I said, I'm telling you in the video, I said, mark my words, mark this day. I said, no matter what happens, I said, Trump is going to take this election. I said, Trump is going to take this election. I don't give a fuck. And even when that girl, because it was only 2 weeks later that they put Kamala forward as the Democratic nominee. 2 weeks after, 1 full week after Trump's attempted assassination, that's when they announced that Kamala was going to be the Democratic nominee. I said, it don't matter. Trump is going to take this election. Mark my words. This white boy about to take this shit. You feel me? Go back. Dice Epiphany. Did I pronounce that right? Dice Epiphany. The profoundly bleak and unsettling sapping of our psychic resources rather than refreshing them. Whoa. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you. I see you, A Heart. She said, yeah, I saw that video and clicked off so fast and unsubscribed. Let me tell you something. I've said this 1,000 times. Without a grand narrative that offers something that is opposing to the typical narrative, people's despair is going to increase. Because Trump ain't even inaugurated yet. People are already debating. You know, so many people are saying, oh, y'all ain't ready. Wait till January 6th and all this. Child, what are y'all scared of? What are y'all scared of? This shit is such a flimsy ass attempt at distraction. This is your U.S. congressman, and you bitches will never win. You will never win. It's your body, our choice. And y'all, I ain't saying y'all. I'm saying people just fell right into that fucking rage baiting bullshit from a motherfucker who looked like he got beat up his whole life in fucking grade school. That's what he looked like. You understand? Baby, when they are in crisis, when they become malignant outwardly like this, like no filter, everybody's saying, damn, everybody's saying the quiet part out loud now because they are desperate, child. They are fearful. They are desperate. And the fact of the matter is that it's not just the United States. 3 days ago, Putin banned any media, any conversation, any social media discussion, any propaganda, what he called 4B propaganda. That was 3 days ago. Putin did a national ban on all, what did they call it? 4B, child-free or childless lifestyle propaganda in Russia. They just did that. 3 days ago. I just told you 3 months ago, while everybody was singing the praises of all these Arab leaders coming together to condemn Israel for crimes against the Palestinians, that same week that all of these Arab men from these Arab nations were standing together in they little, they little desert outfits, I forget what they call them. That same week, the Taliban permanently banned education for any female past the 5th grade. And in addition, had banned women from speaking in public. They cannot talk in public spaces, like open their mouth in public spaces. So while we singing the praises of these Arab men that come together to defend Palestine, this switch and bait shit is happening every fucking day. And I've been telling y'all that shit. Women are, as they always have been, the target, the primary target of patriarchal domination. And so all these other narratives can happen. I told y'all this thing about Palestine. I knew it was a controversial position. That while I stand on the side of Palestinian people to be free and independent and sovereign, self-determining people, that everybody talking about we need a ceasefire in Palestine. We need a ceasefire. We need some kind of peace agreement in Palestine. A peace agreement in Palestine, a ceasefire in Palestine is not going to do anything to address the peculiar issues and suffering of women and children in Palestine. That's just a fact. So the world governments are trying to suppress the rise of collective power and divine femininity because she is the natural order. I'm telling you. What did I tell y'all 2 years ago about the Pope? Everybody's singing the praises of Pope Francis. But 2 years ago, Pope Francis, it ain't my opinion, right there on the, what do they call it? The Catholic News Network, on the Catholic News Network website. 2 years ago, he calls an emergency meeting of all the bishops on earth to spend a week in the Vatican. And coming out of this week-long powwow behind closed doors, he comes out and makes the global declaration that for the next 10 years, the primary work of the Roman Catholic Church is to re-evangelize the world. What does that mean? It means all the things that you have been seeing. All the attacks on women, the 32% increase in violence against women in the United States since COVID, the increase in femicide the world over, the globe over, the ban on the women in the Arab world. Don't you think the Roman? I'm just trying to tell you. Go on the Catholic. I subscribe to the Catholic News Network website. Over the last, since the year 2000, go through the archives of the Catholic News Network and see how many closed door meetings have happened between the Pope, the chief imam of the Arab world, and the what you call them, the imam and the what's the Jewish one called, and the rabbi, the chief global rabbi, the Dalai Lama, some Native American spiritual representatives, all men representing the major religions of the planet Earth behind closed doors and closed doors meetings. That has happened so many times just since the year 2000. So while we think, while they orchestrate conflict between, quote, the Islamic world, in the Jewish world, in the Christian world, in the Catholic world, and all of that shit, they in the Vatican, damn near every year since 2000, pictures of the Pope and the Dalai Lama and the black chief bishop in Africa, and all these men plotting and scheming behind closed doors, coming out, taking these big pictures like it's just a love fest of the coming together of religions. Meanwhile, they plotting and scheming on how they have to re-strategize to make sure they hold a hegemony over the reproduction of women, because that's what it's about. I don't give a fuck what they talking about. When they talking about finances, global finances, their ability to control, our ability to create the population that they need to keep them up on top is the center question. In The Great Cosmic Mother, she says the same thing at the very beginning. At the very beginning of the book. In the very beginning, in the very first chapter in the book, what was it? In the beginning, we are all female. She's like, what is the basis? What is the material basis for the need to dominate female bodies? Wealth creation and possession. That's it. It's just that simple. Wealth creation and wealth creation and possession. That's it. That's all. It's just that simple. Everything else is an offshoot, is a web, a strand of the web of that. But the beginning is the successful and complete domination of the female reproductive system to ensure wealth through possession of that female person for yourself. That's it. It's that simple. And so we get caught up in these discussions, chasing our tails in circles, calling the thing everything but what the hell it is. You know what I'm saying? And so Russia was like, fuck that. Y'all just gonna refuse to have babies? They're talking about banning. Listen, Russia's not the only country that did it this month, by the way. Russia's the most recent because they made this public declaration. The ban on social media, public media, newspapers, any discussion by fine. Right now, it's a fine, right? Personal fines and corporate fines for any discussion about child-free life and 4B movement and all of that stuff. They are talking about restricting admission to college for women after the let's see. I forget like the parameters around it, but they're talking about beginning to restrict college. So I forget what it was, but anyway, they're talking about restriction on college for females of ideal childbearing age. They're talking about forced sterilization. They're talking about forced sterilization for women who have not had children by the age of 29. That was on the news. They are talking about imposing forced sterilization on women who are not having children if they haven't had any children by the age of 29. In Russia right now. In Russia. Mm-hmm. Japan is doing the same thing. Japan, I guess, had spent so much time like trying to bribe women into having children, pay women, like I told y'all in South Korea, where they were offering female inmates $70,000 if they would come out of the prison and have kids. Well, Japan apparently had a program like that, and the women weren't biting. The women were like, fuck that. Nope, that ain't enough neither. You feel me? And so since this, I guess it's been some time that they've been trying to finesse these women into having children, and the women weren't biting. And so now Japan too has been initiating these kind of harsh laws to attempt to terrorize women into having children. And the problem is that in every country and in every discussion, even these discussions led by women about why they support these movements, it's still within the context of this unspoken presupposition that men rule the world, men lead, and so we have to force men to do stuff for us, like give us some rights. Ain't nobody in all the discussions I've heard, male and female, ain't nobody said, the fuck we talking about rights for? Women make up more than half the goddamn population of the planet. We need to be treated with the same amount of power and access to wealth, resources, of half the population on the planet. We need power, complete and total sovereign fucking power. How the fuck there is a country on earth? As a matter of fact, there ain't but one country on earth where more than half of its political representation is female. That's Iceland. One planet on the one country on the whole of the earth. There's 91 countries? I think it's 191 countries. One country on the whole planet, on the whole of the earth, where more than half of its political representation is female. So everywhere else on earth, I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care if you have an occasional vagina possessing person here or there that's in a seat that has a position in office. That bitch ain't got no power. Because the females in the society around her ain't got no power. Now, I don't care how much money you make. Oprah ain't got no power. Not while the half of the population of the United States that look like her, meaning female, uterus possessing human beings, ain't got no power. Everybody talking about everything but the thing. Everybody talking about the thing but the thing. Even Tajali mentioned in here, I think this is the real reason that they are banning TikTok. Baby, I told y'all that shit a year ago. What was it, a year ago that they started talking about the TikTok ban and everybody was freaking out? Because I think Montana was the first state to actually initiate a TikTok ban. I already, and I said it on the live, I already know what's coming down the line. They are banning TikTok for one reason and one reason only. Tell me what the reason is. Tell me what the reason is. If they gonna ban TikTok anywhere, it's gonna be for one reason and one reason only. Because they ain't banned TikTok over what's happening in Palestine. They've been threatening it. That's been the guise and the excuse for them threatening it, but that's not it. And they can't say the quiet thing out loud. There's one reason and one reason only that they would be banning TikTok. Because TikTok has given these rowdy bitches a platform to expose men. That's it. That's all. Y'all bitches just started talking. Y'all bitches just came up on TikTok and started teaching 1 minute, 3 minute, and 10-minute how-to lessons. Y'all done exposed all the red flags. Y'all done opened up our whole motherfucking playbook. Now we ain't got no angles. We ain't got no plays. We can't use narcissism anymore. We can't manipulate you anymore. We can't romantically manipulate you anymore. We can't woo you anymore. You feel me? We can't plot and scheme and shit. Y'all done put all the cards in our play we done had to solidify bullshit. You feel me? To consolidate for ourselves a wealth generating and producing entity in our home that won't talk back, that'll take care of my kids, that'll have as many kids as I needed to have, that'll wash my drawers, that'll clean the bathtub, that'll cook my food, that'll do, and still give me some pussy at the end of the night and do it with a smile. Because all I got to do is, manipulate it. You know what I'm saying? If I fuck up, get some flowers, get some candy and shit. And y'all done exposed all the cards we had in our deck to secure our guaranteed right to a slave. That's why men are mad. All this shit about I want a submissive woman, all this shit about, being demure and shit is about the fact that men are outraged, and they're showing it to you in real time. Men are outraged because the jig is up. The jig is up. Their hand has been played. Their hand has been exposed. And they are angry because the society tells them from the time that they are born that they are entitled to a slave. They are entitled to a slave. And that they will never be looked upon with revile if they get divorced. No matter what happens, it's some shortcoming on the part of the slave for why the marriage didn't work. Because she's a slave. She's not entitled to any rights. That's why it's always the woman's fault. She's not entitled to any rights. That's why they fight so hard to pay after the divorce, because, bitch, you a slave. You a slave. This is your lot in life, is to obey your master. It's to suffer in silence. It's to smile through your suffering. What Fela Kuti say? Suffering and smiling. I'll go back and listen to that song. Suffering and smiling. Suffering and smiling. How dare you leave me, bitch? I'm your owner. No different. No different. In a lot of ways than Harriet Tubman putting down the master's equipment and saying, today I'm no longer a slave. I'm the fuck up out of here. I'm the fuck up out of here. You feel me? And I say not unlike Harriet Tubman because the shit is more sinister. The shit is more sinister. How they have convinced women since 1865 to remain slaves or to be forced into servitude, and have used media to win you to do it. Romantic comedies and not love stories and novels and all of this shit to woo you into permanent servitude. Into permanent servitude. You understand? And so I told you, I will forever tell you, women are today and have always been the singular target, the direct target. So you got a bullseye. You feel me? You can hit anywhere on the bullseye and still get points. You feel me? But what you really want is to shoot at the heart of the bullseye. You want to get all the way in the center. That center is women. That center is women. That center is women. We are always the global target for patriarchy everywhere on earth. Everywhere on earth. And so we have to start. I really want to struggle with you all. I really want to make a struggle with you to help me do this work. And the only help that I am asking you to do is, one, I know that the commercials are boring as fuck. Watch them anyway. This is not only what not only what helps me make money through this YouTube channel. It also, when you watch the commercials through, it places me higher on the algorithm so that others can gain access to the page. One. Two, several of you, and I love it, I appreciate it, and every single one of you that sends me timestamps know that I go right back, I click that timestamp so I can go right back to what you felt was most significant about the video that you commented on, because it might hit different with me. You feel me? Every single time. Java wise, I'm be going hard on them timestamps. You feel me? I love it. I love it. Okay. But just as much time as it takes to send me a message or a comment or an email about something that has impacted you, if it's impacted you at all, it's going to impact somebody else. Make a commitment that every week you're going to make a commitment to send a video that spoke to you to 3 people or 5 people or 10 people. And that is how we're going to also draw people to the page so that they can gain access to information and ideas that I know no one else is talking about. I'm sitting here watching hours and hours and hours of YouTube and TikTok videos on American women, becoming a part of the 5B movement. We have to be thinking deeper than that. We have to be challenging that. We have not the 4B movement. I'm talking about, we ain't asking no men for fucking rights. That's not what we're doing. That's what the 4B movement was, and it is gangster. These women saying, look, this is the only bargaining chip we got. We closing down shop until you motherfuckers comply. This is what we need. And what they're asking for is the bare minimum. They're asking to be safe in society. They're asking to not be murdered to the tune of 52% of the women murdered in South Korea are murdered at their houses by their intimate partners. They're saying, can y'all come and arrest a bitch when we say that we being stalked, or that we caught some man in the women's bathroom looking up under the stall or some shit? They're asking literally for the bare minimum. That's not what the fuck we need to be asking for. No woman nowhere on earth. Women need to be staging a whole ass dual and contending contest. And quote, going to your senator and writing a letter to your local official is not the lick. It's not the lick. It's not the lick. We need to be intervening in every conversation that we see women are having. We need to be commenting. Check out Daughter of the Fates YouTube channel. Because I ain't never heard nobody talk about women need goddamn reparations at minimum for the last 150 years of free labor that they have done in the generating and producing of human material, human cannon fodder and human material that somebody else benefits off of to the tunes of billions of dollars, while women still stuck in time and in place making less than every man in society. That the discussion is not about our right to abortions. Fuck that. The discussion isn't we have to protect welfare. That's not the discussion. That's not the discussion. The discussion is as if we had ever been paid even the minimum wage, not even the value of our labor, just the minimum wage as it was unfolding over the last 150 years. There wouldn't be a billionaire in this country. There are billionaires because women have been enslaved in this fucking country in their relationships with men through marriage or partnership, and in their unbreakable tie to raising children that will become exploited workers on the fucking market for human consumption by the government, by the state, and by these religious institutions. This is it. This is it. Religious institutions, independent wealthy families like the Rockefellers, these religious institutions and the governments that they create have all been in collusion since day one to maintain a stranglehold on the lives of women reduced to machines for the perpetual creation of wealth. The perpetual creation of wealth governed and owned by those institutions, and then to use propaganda to manipulate these women into believing that this was their choice. Keep them poor enough that they are struggling to secure this investment on the market, while at the same time don't have enough time to think about a singular thing clearly. Always on fight or flight, raise the baby, feed the kid, You understand? These are not the discussions. Asking male-dominated governments to please consider our humanity. Please consider us humans, just enough that we can, have safe procedures and get adequate health care. And maybe you can pay us a little bit more than the 62 cents to every dollar some white dude made, or the 53 cents if you black and female that every white dude made. Can we just get paid for that which we produce out in the world? Can we just get paid? And we're asking governments, where every single government on earth but one has an equal representation within these governmental bodies to the population, to the ratio of the population that they govern. And you think you about to win them, you about to manipulate them with your little vote to do your will, to do your bidding. Women have to stage a contest, and men who say they give a damn about the lives of women, men who say they're allies, men who say they're husbands, sons, brothers, fathers, that give a damn about the women in their life, that have some nominal sense of commitment to the safety of women, to the sanity of women. We can't be forcing y'all to do shit. We shouldn't have to force y'all to do shit. Y'all should be just as enthusiastically mouthy against patriarchy as we are. Shouldn't nobody have to tell you shit. Shouldn't nobody have to force you to do shit. Shouldn't nobody have to shame you into doing shit. Take this shit as seriously as if it was your life on the line. Now you step out in front of the argument. You step out in front of the question. You generate the question. What the fuck is wrong with you men? And not on some wimpy shit. We don't need wimpy ass men feigning to be allies and feminists because they too cowardly for the idea that they may have to go to battle on behalf of women. They may have to go to war on behalf of women, the same way they've enthusiastically done that shit for everybody else. So I mean for that to be, I always say that I don't ever mean for my introductions to be that long, but there you go. The other thing I'm going to say, because there's still so much, but I said I was going to try to keep this. There's a reason I wanted to read Beyond God the Father today. And I ordered a book maybe about 2 months ago from Thrift Books. The title looked interesting. Okay. The title looked interesting, but it was written by a Christian. Okay. So I was like, let me go ahead and order the book. The book was like $5. I said, I know it's going to be some bullshit, but let me go ahead and order the book because I know that first of all, it's nowhere near in the genre of books that I be buying off Thrift Books, right? But I think the reason that it came up on my suggested list on thrift books was because of the title. But the dude who wrote the book is a Christian. He is I think he's Nigerian. So Nigerian Christians be real hard zealots. They be real off the chain with their Christianity. Baby, let me tell you what the name of the book is. Y'all see I don't know if it's showing backwards to y'all, but the name of the book is The African American and the Ministry of Mami Wata by Chief Apostle Professor Vic N. Ronnie. The book is a part of a series. Okay. I've flipped through it, but I haven't even read a chapter in it yet. But it stood out today when I was getting ready to talk to you guys. And the book is a part of a series of books that he has written called Overcoming the Queen of the Coast, about Mami Wata, about the cult of Mami Wata, overcoming the Queen of the Coast. Overcoming the Queen of the Coast. So I'm sitting here telling y'all, somebody told me today when I was talking to them about this wild shit I saw on Lotus Flower's page. Somebody said something like something to the effect of well, you know, oh, I remember what it was. Well, you know, I mean, I know a lot of people. I got a lot of family members that are Christians and they're good people. So do I. Damn near every family member I got is a Christian. Good people. Love them dearly. But when I tell you that they are waging war on what they perceive as the greatest threat to the new patriarchal age, which is this a preacher that wrote this book, The African American and the Ministry of Mami Wata, in a series called Overcoming the Queen of the Coast. Preachers, black preachers, talking about we need to reinstitute the witch hunts. Negroes telling congregations of thousands, we need to reinstitute the goddamn witch hunts. Who are they talking about? These Negro preachers, when they say we need to reinstitute the witch hunts. Are they talking about white witches? No, because at the same side of their mouth, they'll say the same bullshit that Lotus Flower said today. Every so-called witch, every so-called devil worshiper, every so-called Satanist, every so-called occultist, every so-called member of the Illuminati, but as black as you and me. Every symbol, every image, every sign as the evidence of satanic behavior and activity, black as you and me. Black as you and me. You don't see black Muslim, hardcore conscious Muslim dudes doing Illuminati takeover of hip hop shit, and it's white people. They ain't talking about the Illuminati takeover of rock and roll. They ain't talking about the Illuminati takeover of pop music. You feel me? Every time you see that shit, the focus, a particular of black zealots, Muslims, Hebrew Israelites, Christians, of black zealots is always black and female, and they don't even hide it. And then this Negro in the church, a mega church, they talking about got an attendance of 15,000 every Sunday. He talking about, I feel like it's about that time that we start to reinstitute the witch trials, witch hunting. And in their mind's eye, they know clearly who they talking about. People that look like you and me. So I'm telling you, right now, we just need to be changing the damn narrative so women are armed about what it is they're fighting for. But you ain't fighting for no goddamn rights. You fighting for sovereignty. You fighting for complete and total autonomy. You fighting for complete and total independence of you and your kind. That's what you're fighting for. Go to no motherfucking council of white men. Still today, in the United States, 92% of political representatives throughout the country, mayors, judges, this and this and this and this, all the way up to the White House, 92% of all people in positions of office in the United States are white males. 92%. In every space they create that they tell you you're supposed to get some justice from, they own, they control, they run, they dominate. Stop letting somebody else that dominates your life set the narrative for what it is you need in your life, what it is you want for your life. Stop letting somebody else who has robbed you blind, robbed you blind, perpetually robbed you blind. And then you're going to turn around and ask your robber, can I have a little bit of my stuff back so I can feed my kids? Can I have a little bit of my stuff back so I can go to the doctor if I need to? Can I have a little bit of my stuff back? Because that's what you're doing. Can I have a little bit of my stuff back so I can go get this surgery? Can I have a little bit of my stuff back so I can at least get some food stamps so we don't starve, even as I'm working 40 hours a week? Do you know in the city of Los Angeles, I didn't even know this until I was running this mayoral campaign. 48% of 48%, y'all. 48% of the 35,000 people that are homeless, that are street homeless, and then their estimates of between 15 and 20,000 car homeless people in the city of Los Angeles. 48% of them work. They have jobs. 48% of the people in this city have jobs that are homeless in the city, got jobs. Don't nobody do anything for them. Don't nobody care for them. But every time they purchase something in this city, they paying 12% tax. The tax in Los Angeles is 12%. 12% on everything they buy. So they tax paying citizens, even as they homeless, even as they ain't got no address. And you give them the runaround because they want a little measly $150, $200 a month in food stamps so they don't starve to death. You feel me? And we talking about, can I just have a little bit of my stuff back? Why we got all this money? Why we got all this money to send to Ukraine and Israel to the tune of $88 billion now? Why we got all this? Do you know that the reason that every Israeli-born citizen goes to college for free, has universal health care, does not have to pay for health care in Israel? That's right now today. And do you know that the reason that they are able to go to college for free and have universal health care and a whole bunch of other perks is because of the amount of money that the United States sends to Israel to support Israel every year? That's your money. That's why you don't have them programs. See, that's why you don't have them programs. You don't have them programs. You don't have universal health care. And you be shamed when you ask for it. Oh, you being a socialist. While the United States supports and funds universal health care in Israel. Free housing in Israel. If you was born in California and you find out you Jewish, the right to return, you can go to Israel if you've never been there. And they will find some Palestinian's house to steal for you to occupy. That's right now today. So free housing. They got a free housing program, you know what I'm saying, in Israel called the right to return. Free health care. And they can go to college for free. Meanwhile, my ass, who is still considered working class, I ain't balling out of control, child. My ass, who is working class, graduated college 10 years ago with 4 degrees, and has every now and again paid on the student loans because of the daily accruing every day, the interest on my student loans every day. The interest accrues. I borrowed, $182,000 for all 4 of my degrees for 10 years of almost 10 years of med school. $182,000 in student loans. And today, 10 years later, them student loans for me finishing school 10 years ago, them student loans is $282,000 today, as of today. $282,000 for loans that I took out to the tune of $182,000 is now with the daily accruing of interest, and I'm paying the bare minimum on my loans. My loans are $283,000, something like that. But it would be a non-issue if they wasn't sending not only the 88 billion that they have sent in a single year to support these wars, but they are sending billions every year since 42, 49, whenever the fuck. Baby, yo black ass labor, yo red ass labor, yo yellow ass labor, yo brown ass labor, yo white ass labor built Israel. Yes, it did. Built, sustained, and maintained Israel. For Israelis, which is a new creature in human history, for Israelis to prosper far beyond what you can imagine in a lifetime. The average Israeli. Your labor did that. Your labor did that. They don't be just generating billions out of the mid-air to distribute here and there and to and fro to secure their interest, their foreign policy interest. Every single red penny the United States sends somewhere the hell else, your po ass generated that wealth. That shit they extracted from your blood, sweat, and tears. Yes, they did. Meanwhile, you going to the poll saying, Mr. Red Man, Mr. Blue Man, can you please just promise to give us a little bit of our shit back, just like 0.01% of our shit back, so we can at least survive. Can you just give us a little bit of our shit back, please? I'm gonna go to the polls and vote for you. Just please give us just a little bit of our shit back. It's a real thing. It's real phenomenon balance. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. How am I wrong? We can see it clearly when it was enslaved people in the plantations. We can see it clearly. You might be, not even affluent. You might just be like you could be a working class white person and own slaves during slavery. You could own a slave, maybe two if you was lucky. You could own slaves even as a working class person, right? But the thing that helped to generate and increase your wealth is your ability to breed your slaves. It's clear. It's clear if you got pets, especially you people who love expensive dogs. You keep your bitch pregnant because every time she has a litter, that's depending upon the breed. That's $3,000 to $5,000 a dog, depending upon the breed. I used to have a roommate who bred birds for a living. Oh, we had a lot of birds. We had an obscene amount of birds. Okay. For every African gray, for every cockatoo, he could produce out of thin air. These cockatoos is breeding, and all they require is some food and some water. He's like, that's a minuscule investment. Where every time this cockatoo is gonna have a baby, I'm gonna make $3,000 off this bird, and I ain't even gotta work. All I gotta do is get up and feed the bird in the morning, feed the bird in the evening. That's a come up. That's a come up. I can sell this African gray for $5,000. All I gotta do is make sure they'll sing and do all the things, and all I gotta do is make sure they get food and water. That's all I gotta do. And every time, and keep her in the optimal conditions for her to have a baby. You hear about the breeding quarters for slaves. So you might be a poor white boy, but you was able to grab up enough money to get yourself a personal assistant for free. You feel me? You get yourself a slave. And then maybe a little down the line, you get yourself another slave. And right now you working class. You just got enough help to help you with your life and this and this and this and this. And all of a sudden, the two slaves you got a baby. That's automatic wealth production for you, because you can keep that baby slave or you can sell that baby slave. And now with the money that you made from the one baby slave, you might be able to buy another one or two slaves. This was wealth accumulation. Breeding. This was wealth accumulation. People be acting all brand new. It's so crazy how these slave masters could have all these babies with these enslaved women and see them and look in their face and still see nothing but a slave. Money is a hell of drug. Wealth is a hell of drug. That motherfucker saw dollar signs. All I got to do is plant some seed. She can't say no. It ain't like it's not like this entity that looks like a human. This entity that looks like it's not like she got a voice. It's not like she got an option. This is my property. I own this animated machine, this android. I own her. And so all I got to do is get my rocks off, lay some seed, and she'll generate me more wealth. And then as soon as the child is 12 years old, I can sell that child and make $1,000. That's basic mathematics. This is a come up right here. This is an easy hustle right here. All I got to do is give them the bare minimum, food and water. That's all I got to do is put them in a little shack that kind of look like a house so they don't have to sleep outside in the rain. That's all I got to do. And I can force them to continue to generate wealth for me out of thin air. Out of thin air. I don't have to work. I don't have to labor. I don't have to. They can just continue to produce wealth for me. And it's clear when we see it like that. Breeding houses, slave breeding quarters and shit. This was about the accumulation of wealth without doing any work. This was about the accumulation of wealth. But the narrative changes, the language changes, land of the free, home of the brave, Emancipation Proclamation, you know what I'm saying? And now, it's not overt, chattel slavery. It is a great and grand, really strategic, really brilliant, honestly, strategy to shift the focus of chattel slavery, which was obviously oppressive and destructive and all of the things, to romantic slavery that everybody falls victim to, no matter what your culture, no matter what your race, no matter what your background. All of the females in every culture fall victim to. All of them. We can see it clearly when we see even like the transition from slavery to sharecropping. Your debts, you're never from under your debts. So even the children that you have to sharecrop on a former plantation owner's property in order for you to what? Work for room and for room and board, for room and food, bare minimum food and bare minimum drink. We just read, and what was the book? Parable of the Sower. That's in the future of California, where people are damn near fighting each other for jobs that only give you a room for a whole family, one room for a whole family, and you still have to use the currency that the owner makes for himself. So everything that you buy, food, water, you got to buy everything. You just get in the room. You got to buy everything. And you can only buy anything in this area with the currency that your boss makes. You can only spend his money. So no matter what you do, you are generating wealth for him. And all that's required of you, or all you require, is a safe, heavily armed, under the guise of security, a safe and heavily armed room to live in future. So we have to start seeing it that way, that these religious institutions, these governments and political institutions, and the state apparatus that secures both of them, the military, the police, the judges, the court systems, all of that's the state. And within the three of them is the propaganda apparatus that all three of them control. All three of them control. That's the only way to explain something like Hollywood, which is completely owned and dominated by Jewish families, founded by Jewish families. These are Hasidic Jews. These are Orthodox Jews producing every piece of cinema and media and news in this country. They Jewish, practicing Judaistic Jews that own and dominate and control Hollywood. But the majority of the shit that they're producing has a Christian ideology or background. Why? Because they are all in collusion. I just told you the Pope had constantly perpetually has all these niggas, the big heads of all the religious institutions behind closed doors at least once a year. They all in collusion. There ain't no contradiction for Hollywood to be owned, run, controlled by Jewish people, Judaistic practicing Jewish people. And damn near everything they produce is about Christianity or has some Christian overtones, wooing you back to the Lord in subtle and not so subtle ways. Even horror movies. I love Stephen King. Every single solitary book he ever wrote and every movie produced from his books has not even subtle, overtly Christian overtones. Because they are all in collusion. And the evidence of this collusion ain't even like hidden behind closed doors no more. You just saw the greatest evidence of it, the collusion among and between these institutions at your election. The fact that this weirdo, born in South Africa, entered the United States as an illegal immigrant, can contribute $75 million to Trump's campaign, and not only, quote, help him win the campaign, but it has secured a seat in your democratic institution, and he an immigrant. He an immigrant. Now, I don't want to get too extra deep on y'all, but did y'all know that Elon's name is in the Bible? I didn't know the name Elon was in the Bible. The name Elon is in the Bible. I forgot what it means. It means something crazy. It was something crazy. The name Barack is in the Bible. The name, what was it? Oh, what is it? The word Hamas is in the Bible. You understand? So when I tell you that the book is a blueprint for the establishment and maintenance of empire, I mean that. Anyway, child, it's an hour and 17 minutes in. Let me go ahead. But this book that I ordered, this damn Americans and African Americans and the Ministry of Mami Wata, I can already tell you it's gonna be deep. But we have to know the minds of our opposition. That's why I got on that. As I'm telling you, we don't have to stage an outright and very clear and unified opposition to the state. Women cannot be all over the world, this country, that country, this country, that country, asking for different shit. Please, men, let us talk in public. Please, men, do away with female genital mutilation. Please, men, do something about the fact that everywhere we go, men are trying to be aggressive towards us. We ain't never safe nowhere we go. Please, men. We have to have a unified position. And the starting point for me is, bitch, y'all owe reparations. Y'all owe reparations, and not just to women in America. Every woman on earth is owed reparations. Yup. And if she got kids, she is owed more reparations for every child. We owed reparations. We are owed reparations. Yep. And even those of you who may be still be in Black Power organizations, because you know the word reparations we only use really when we talk about Black people fighting for reparations, Black people who are the descendants of enslaved Africans, are due reparations. Even you hardcore militant Black nationalists should be okay with women saying, y'all boy, you're doing, get off me, cut it out. Y'all owe. Because if every woman gets her just due in reparations, guess what? The men around her can only benefit. Because each one of you got a mama. Every last one of y'all got a mama. Why would y'all have a problem supporting the goddamn demand for women to receive reparations for the contributions that they have made to society through the process of childbirth? Every child is going to contribute, and in general, they're going to contribute to their detriment to the goddamn wellness of the society. whether that child is reproducing wealth for free in the prison system, or whether that child is working some job that's never going to allow them to thrive in the society, or whether that child goes to become a doctor, or whether that child goes to become a lawyer. They are still benefiting the state at the expense of the people who secured their lives for the first 18 to 24 years of their life. Y'all owe. And so that's the starting point. And then we can get into these statistics. We need to have like a on-staff statistical analyzer for all the ways that we went. Boy, get down. You're doing too much. Stop. For all the ways that we can justify and demonstrate why you owe. Why you owe. Because not only were we not getting paid for the work that we were doing in raising children, but women weren't able to own homes by themselves. Women weren't able to get a checking account by themselves until, what was it, 76? Something like that. You feel me? Boy, oh, why you stop? Oh, you want nosy self. Anyway, not only that, if we weren't able to buy a house by ourselves, this is further wealth that we were denied access to, that we had a right to. We were staying in relationships, abusive relationships, longer than we had to because we couldn't own any property that could secure our life. So this is theft of wealth on top of the fact that you ain't paid us the value of our labor. So, yeah, that's what we got to be asking for. Every woman on earth, stop asking male-led governments for shit and then being surprised when they do some bullshit like, oh, you don't want this little penance I'm giving you to have the baby? Then fuck it. We gonna ban all talk about child-free lifestyles and shit. We gonna prevent y'all from going to college past a certain age because you need to. That's the height of your baby making years. We don't need you going to college, bitch. We need you making babies in them years. Y'all don't really need no education like that. You feel me? Stop talking in public. Make sure your eyes is covered too. Even your eyes is too seductive. You walking around in ghost garments with just your eyes showing, and then they go and ban now your eyes showing. The Taliban. Now you can't. Now you have to wear like a little clip veil that goes over the little eye part. You feel me? We don't need you having absolutely any semblance of something that looks like control over your life. If you don't bend and yield to the terms we set, then we just gonna make life harder for you. We just gonna make life harder for you. And I'm telling you, you should not be fearful, because the more aggressive, the more violent, the more that they cannot even, these men are not even trying to pretend anymore. They're not even get down. Now you ain't gonna keep getting up and getting down. Go. They ain't even trying anymore. And so again, you have to be able to see that the more aggressive, the more violent, the more roguish, the more out of control men get, do not be fearful. Be secure, but do not be fearful. Be clear that I'm doing something right. We doing as women something right. We are, because this is a part of the removal of the veil. This thing that I talked to you about with Lotus Flower first thing this morning, these are just these hidden, unresolved weaknesses coming to the surface, revealing themselves. Whether it was me talking about how many friends I lost in the last 3-4 months, it's the same thing. These men are the same way in positions of power. They are the same way. The more women talk, the more women expose through talking to one another. This is where the magic happens. When women talk, that's why men don't want that. What do they say about a narcissist? The first thing they don't, or an abuser, the first thing they're going to do is isolate you. Give you low-key manipulative grief about talking to your mama too much on the phone. Why you be having friends over all the time? Be shaming you into isolation. Because they know as soon as your mama talk to you, as soon as your sisters talk to you, as soon as your friends talk to you, they're going to be like, this motherfucker is on some bullshit, girl. Stop it. Get down. Cut it out. Move. Go. Because you can put your nails on me again, boy. Yeah. That is their worst fear, is for women to have friends, for women to have support, for women to have ears that will listen. And so now the internet, you know what I'm saying, then opened up these spaces where even if a woman is in isolation, she can be on TikTok and be hearing women put her on game. I know you may not have known it before, but these are the subtle and not so subtle signs that you are in an abusive relationship. You may not have known before, but these are the signs that you may be the victim of narcissism, the victim of a narcissist. And this is what it means. They're never going to change as long as there is something that they can extract from you, whether physically or emotionally. Your emotional energy is valuable. That's why they play on it. That's why they exploit it. That's why they manipulate it. It's the same thing I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, the emotional mining, the harvesting of emotions. If that wasn't true, why would they create something like rage baiting, where they have bots that actually stays aware, and they just scan the internet for buzzwords to create fucked up comments, police type shit. Oh, you fat bitch. Da, 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 da. And then you go to the person's page and there ain't no picture, no videos followed or made. That's a bot. That's a bot. You understand? And so if they weren't harvesting your emotions, why the need to rage bait? You know what I'm saying? So we have to be clear all the time at what we're looking at. We should welcome their catastrophe. We should welcome the display that they're making and be able not only to see it for ourselves, but to be able to clearly communicate it to others. That's why I got on the need for you guys to start not only watching these videos, but sharing them. If something speaks to you, if something stands out to you that you have not heard yet before, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, or a different take on an issue. Because that 4B movement thing, the video I did, that deep dive into the 4B movement, I did that shit 6-7 months ago. Here it is, like prophecy, a hot topic all over again. Right? Baby, who in Power Kismet said Matrix called, they said we need your body back in the battery farm. What are you getting from the battery? Energy. What are they rage baiting you for? Energy. Feel me? So we need to be able to clearly communicate to others, be in other spaces, other content creator spaces that are talking about these things, but they have a limited understanding, or the basis that they're coming from is just here when it could be here. It's a hot topic right now, the 4B movement, and what Black women in particular are saying about the complete complete divesting from American society, right? This is a great way to get into these discussions. And one, send the link to the videos that I've already done about the 4B movement and the true nature and the true origin of it, about this question about what can Black women in America do that's like the 4B movement. Start talking about reparations. Start dropping those little gems in other people's comment section. The same thing y'all do to me, send me emails and carrying on about other people's content. Do that in people's comments. You should really check out Sister Cassandra. She's got a real interesting take on this issue that I ain't never heard. You might want to check it out. We have to grow this shit, and we have to create a narrative that can begin to contend. But while I'm just on here, and the few of you who are so committed and so on point every time, usually around 40 to 65 people. But if we're not sharing, I share my shit. But if I can't be the only one sharing my shit, it's kind of crazy. You feel me? Why she always sharing shorts on my shit? Who she thinks she is? You feel me? But if it's coming from other people, it has a different impact. So that's what I would really say, is to support the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence by watching these damn boring, terrible commercials. I know. Watch them anyway. And I have them where now they only happen every 18 minutes. I know that seems like a lot, but they were doing way more when I just let YouTube randomly select. It was a lot. It was like every 3 to 5 minutes. So watch the commercials. make monetary contributions. I had the meeting yesterday with the sister that we did the ritual at last week. She told me that I can have the space every week. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one more event for this winter solstice at her place, because the next few weeks are just crazy. We'll have the winter solstice event will be the only event that we'll do from here until the end of the year. And then at the start of the end of the year, I'll start doing in-person temple services on her property. She actually has a part of the property that she's going to let me have just for that. So she said she's going to set it up. She's going to have some stuff added to it and carrying on. So we'll start doing weekly temple services on Saturday mornings on location after the new year. So that's exciting. That was a real thing I was putting out pretty regularly on here about how we need a space. She is still being pressured about the property, but we gonna still be doing our meditations and our conspiracies. She's gonna be all right. Her shit's gonna be secured. She had a lot going on, and the property, there was a lot of real fucked up energy on the property. So I actually went there maybe 4 hours early to do a ceremony and an offering to the land itself. Because of this energy that was just lingering in her space. Let's see, it says Lotus Flower. Thank you so much, Java Watson, for the donation. It says Lotus Flower was on one, but she's been talking about over-sexualization of minors. I thought she was advocating for total celibacy. She, in that live she did today, she did talk about within the context of cult. Still the whole thing was about satanic shit. It was you opening yourself up to demons, and the way you do that is through anal sex, and that's why they use children, all kind of crazy shit. I mean, I don't doubt that those things happen. We see it over and over and over and over again for decades, and some of the people she mentioned, I remember the shockwave when people found out after all these grown men who had been groomed and brutalized by African Bambata. That shit sent a shockwave through the community. People were destroyed. People were devastated. You know what I'm saying? So that's a real ass thing. But the problem that I have, even with people talking about this cult-like oppression of women and children in these industries and in these spaces, is that the language that they're using always to describe this is through a Abrahamic religious lens, which never allows them to come to the right conclusion. That's the lens they're always using. It's the good versus evil. We're the Christians, we're the good, and this is all the evidence of the evil. We're the Judaistic practitioners, and this is all the evidence of the bad. And then we are Islamic Muslims, and this is the evidence of all the bad. Or we Nation of Islam Muslims, and this is the evidence of all the bad. And it's always talking about first witches, right? And then babies being abused in, quote, ceremonial ways inside the industry or whatever. This thing that she was talking about as the reason we need Jesus is, this is, first of all, this is old motif, and it exists in every last one of these traditions. These traditions that on the outside are all these devil worshipers and witches, and they doing all this terrible, pagan stuff behind closed doors. They all do that. Because October 7th was what it was for one day in news, for one day, the exposure of these underground tunnelways built by these Jews that they were fighting. They were literally scrapping, brawling to keep the police out of. And the police get up in there, and there's baby pens and baby beds and high chairs all in these tunnels that have been dug all up under the city of New York. And there ain't been no discussion past that one day exposure. The videos that came out, and all damn near 100 Jewish men fighting the police to keep the police out of their tunnelways. You understand? If not that, what about the string of rabbis in New York in, like, what was it, 2008, where they were talking about there was a fucking outbreak of genital herpes in infants, in male infants, because the rabbis were still practicing, quote, an ancient tradition of cleaning up the circumcision area with their mouth. And these rabbis had herpes sores in their mouths. And so there was a, quote, string of outbreaks of herpes, genital herpes in infants in New York. So these things that these people be talking about, because they the representatives of these Abrahamic religions, and this is all the stuff that the evil people do behind closed doors to women and children, is a sleight of hands. It's like a what do you call it? It's like vapors. It's like shit to distort your vision. I told you that in all of these religions, what do they need? And in the government, they are constantly in need of an enemy consciousness. And so when there is not an enemy that they can point out, what do? They create an enemy. They create an enemy. They create a history. They create a narrative. They create a story. And most times they will fund that enemy. And we know it. And we still don't get it. Smoke and mirrors. That's what I was talking about. We still don't get it. We can read stories that exposed how ISIS was funded by the United States government, how the Taliban was funded, created, started by the United States government. Even here, when we talk about what this conflict between Israel and Palestine, all right at the beginning, people were saying, well, damn, if Hamas is the bad guys, why does Israel continue to fund Hamas? And we just let that shit fly by our heads. This is the creation of enemy consciousness to create smoke and mirrors. So when you're talking about abused women and children in these spaces and in these industries and shit like that, do not, because what they're doing is plucking at your heartstrings. Yes, ending aggression against women and children, but these rituals of aggressions against women and children have always been about what they are currently about. And that is about the stealing of power, the stealing of essence, the ritualistic stealing of essence, stealing of life force in ritual to maintain power. That's patriarchal. That's patriarchy. That's patriarchal. Those same people yelling about, but the babies with P. Diddy, the babies with any given whoever so-and-so, the babies. Those same institutions have those same type of hostile rituals within their own organizations. All three of them. The Catholics are the one that get the most heat and the most smoke because, for whatever reason. But I grew up in the South, in the Southern Baptist Church. It was just as rampant in the Southern Baptist Church. It was just as rampant in the Lutheran Church. It was just as rampant in every space. And the reason that nobody ever gets called out or criminalized or arrested is because it is an inherent part of the culture of these religious traditions, Abrahamic traditions. And then you get gaslit into not saying anything so the group don't look bad. It is an inherent foundational tenet within these religious institutions. And so, yeah. Y'all a mess. So anyway. Let's see. No telling what they're doing behind closed doors while no one is looking, a bunch of sadistic, evil, vile deviants. Yes. And what's the solution to that shit? You know what I'm saying? First of all, we did a ritual the other night. You feel me? And I told you guys, I don't know how disciplined you've been. I told you, that ritual didn't end last Tuesday night. And every time you think about it, and I think I sent it out to everyone. If I didn't, let me know. I was so exhausted the next 2 days. I might not have. But if you need the second conspiracy that we cast, which was the conspiracy of divine judgment and justice, if you need that conspiracy, let me know, because that conspiracy that we cast on Tuesday night is ongoing. It is a living and breathing organism that we generated together. And we need to be giving life into it. We need to be speaking life into that conspiracy that we cast on Tuesday. So hit me up on my email at evoemetemp@gmail.com. I see you, Java Watson. Everybody that wants to get a copy of both of the conspiracies, the conspiracy that we cast at the beginning of when I'm disciplined, at the beginning of the lives, about the world that we're trying to create in real time, the world that we are creating in real time, the glorious conspiracy, and then the conspiracy of divine justice and judgment. We need to be going ham on those. You know what I'm saying? We need to be saying those every day, even if it's just once a day. Even say it just like you did your prayers when you was a baby. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep, and if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. That bullshit that you said your whole life. We need to be on these conspiracies with that same energy. You feel me? At least once a day. Hit the floor in the morning and say your conspiracy. You feel me? So yes, if you need a copy of the conspiracy, email me, and then in the subject header, write conspiracies, and anybody can get that. The ritual was exclusive, but anybody who wants that, anybody who's watching this, anybody who wants a copy of those conspiracies, email me and I'll send them out tonight. And make sure you put conspiracies in the subject header. Isaac was spared from being sacrificed by his father Abraham, but King Japanese, who the hell is King Japanese, sacrificed his daughter to God after a battle that he won, and we don't even know the daughter's name. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. What was that story about? What's his name? King. What's his name? What was the king name? It was King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. And it was an opposing king or something who wanted to get power from a water deity. It was a water deity that came to him and says, like, look, I can give you the power that you need, but you're gonna have to make an offering. You're gonna have to make the offering of your own will, of your own free will. And for every offering you make, I'll give you a little hit of power. And so he would sacrifice servants, you feel me, and all of that kind of stuff. And then when he came to the serpent, the water deity, when he came to the water deity, the deity said, for what you asking for now, this is a lot of power you asking for. And so these offerings you've been making, that ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna cut it. And the water deity was like, I need you to sacrifice your daughter. If you're really about this life, if you're really about what it is you're about to be about, I'm gonna need your daughter. I'm gonna need the most important thing to you. I'm gonna need her. He's like, no, not her. Crying his little crocodile tears, knew what he was gonna do it. Crying his little crocodile, not her, anything but that, anything but that. He was like, look, you asked for what you asked for. If that's what you want, that's what I want. That's what I want. And he cried for about 2 minutes. Then he went right upstairs and got his daughter and said, baby, come down here with me. I want to show you something. They said, look into the water. And when he looked into the water, and when she looked into the water, he came behind her and took her, cut her throat, and alerted the water deity to come and get her. It's in every story. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So we just have to be clear about what we're looking at. Patriarchy is always the enemy. Patriarchy is always the issue. Patriarchy is always at the root. So if it's some shit like that, it's a sleight of hands. It's a misdirect. It's a misdirect. It's a misdirect. I saw a message in your chat, and one of the young ladies used the term understanding, which I thought was very good, and everything is in words, because understanding would be not knowing, and under. Use whatever word you want. Use whatever word you want. I know I am always the one talking about etymology. I am always talking about the importance of how we use our words and understanding what words we're actually using. My hesitation, and even like my awkward feeling when I hear people say understanding, is probably still my trauma, just from being in Black conscious spaces, Black political organizations, and the language. You know what I'm saying? I understand you, God. You know what I'm saying? And all this cultural language that is created to set, us apart from the masses, because we with it, we understand. And it's a very slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope. And, and then the other thing, the semantics that you mentioned in there, the under and not knowing. Yeah, the earth is under our feet and she's no less God. So I'm not trying to be contrary. I'm just saying, like, I still get the heebie-jeebies. I don't criticize anybody about it, to each their own. I know what they mean when they say that, but there is certain language that is still highly reminiscent of a very long period of my life spent in political spaces, and those political spaces being wrought with the same kind of contradictions that we talk about in these religious institutions. So somebody be all super supreme knowledge, God to the seventh degree, you feel me? And you understand God, goddess, earth seed, you feel me? And just as corrupt as the day is long, no integrity, you know what I'm saying? So that's why the weird look, you understand? You comprehend. We don't have to say understand. I can say comprehend. How about that? Anyway. Yeah. So maybe I will just read. Okay, well we already almost, this was 12 minutes to the hour, so I'll just read until the top of the hour, and I'll say 2 hours, and that's it. Okay, so for those of you who have been tuning along, following along in what has been taking an abnormal amount of time for me to read this book, you feel me? Beyond God the Father and Toward Philosophy of Women's Liberation by Mary Daly. We're on page 81 at the top on the section entitled Christ dash, called The Divided Self. The Divided Self, Christ dash Mary. I have a book by it's a book of poetry. I think I might try to find it for the next live. It's a book of poetry I got when I was like 18 by Allen Ginsberg, one of the beat poets during the beat era. And I forget the name of the dude who did the illustrations for the book, but he was like Drescher, Eric Drescher maybe. But anyway, he was a popular artist at the time. And so Drescher did all the illustrations for this book of poetry by Allen Ginsberg. But it was like real radical poetry. It was all really radical images of war and all kinds of stuff. And there was one image I wanted to use today for the thumbnail for this live. But I was like, I've already gotten a warning from YouTube because I used a thumbnail. It was art. It was called I think it's called Venus Comes to Earth in a Shell or something like that. The Venus de Milo, and she's nude and she's in the shell or whatever. I wanted to use that as a thumbnail, and I got a warning from YouTube for, quote, using nudity or sexually explicit content. And so this this picture that I wanted to use, done by, I think his name is Eric Drescher, for a poem that Ginsburg wrote, I don't know, in the 50s or 60s about women. It was maybe the 60s, about women's rights. So he wrote the poem about women's rights, but the image that Dresser created for this poem I wanted to use for this live, but I didn't want them to snatch my shit off, was kind of a comic book style sketch of a giant uterus, massive giant uterus, right? With the little fallopian tubes and the ovaries. And there's like war in the background. There's just chaos in the background, but very front and center is this massive giant uterus. And there was a woman crucified on the uterus. A woman crucified on the uterus. I was like, oh my God, this image. Anyway, the religious experience, there's a reason I mentioned that picture, because I think it was in Pure Lust. I think it was in Pure Lust and in The Great Cosmic Mother. They both talk about about Christ as a usurper of the image of the mother, right? Like the whole idea that you are born from your filthy mama, and in order to be worthy of heaven, you have to be born again in the blood of Christ, right? How are you born again in the blood of Christ? Through baptismal water. You have to be baptized. You feel me? So it is a complete recreation of the divine mother who blesses by the amniotic water and consecrates or crowns your cross at the top of your head with her birth blood. And so because she filthy, that water and blood is not sufficient. In order to ensure that you go into heaven, you have to be reborn through the male mother. You have to be reborn through the male mother. And so that image in that book, to me, it was like that image as Christ becomes the new mother, the true mother of the church, right? Your birth mother is crucified on the uterus that gave you life. You feel me? Anyway, so the divided self. This title also reminded me of that. Christ is emulating his mother. In an attempt to be as powerful as his mother, he has usurped the image of his mother. You feel me? This is why the divided self. The religious experience is an encounter with a power beyond the appearances. Hold on, let's see. Quick question. Didn't Caesar Borgia, who unalived so many countless people, was the son of Pope Alexander the Great, and his depiction was the Jesus Christ on stained windows in churches? I don't know. That sounds familiar, but now I got another wormhole to dive into. Thank you so much, Stephanie Marie. As if I got enough lingering wormholes begging to be addressed. Thank you for another. Now it's going. Let me take a screenshot of that, as a matter of fact, so I don't forget. Yeah, let me take a screenshot of that. Okay. Okay, let's put that in the same folder. I don't know where this little tickle in my throat is coming from that I can't get rid of. It might be this weather. The weather changed like dramatically today. I love it. I'm here for it. But it was all extremely wet and rainy, drizzly, not even rainy, drizzly and gray all day. I love it. Okay. All right. So it says, the religious experience is an encounter with a power beyond the appearances of things, persons, and events. This power, seen as an ultimate ground of existence, is experienced as sacred and elicits awe. Religious organizations, through their symbols and practices, attempt to establish and sustain a relationship with the ultimate ground. Whatever else the symbols thus employed may be, they are first of all human projections. Feuerbach expressed the situation correctly, though not adequately, when he wrote that, quote, God is the highest subjectivity of man, abstracted from himself. This judgment is also applicable correctly, though inadequately, to the symbolization of Christ and Mary. The psychological acrobatics of Christians surrounding the symbolizations of Christ and Mary have little to do with the historical Jesus. They have even less to do with the historical person Mary, the mother of Jesus, and are devastating to the 50% of the human race whose lot she shared. The task at hand is healing of the divided self, which means breaking the idols that have kept it torn apart. Compensatory glory, the image of Mary as model. In the preceding chapter, I have indicated that the total identification of women with evil would be dysfunctional. Catholicism has offered women compensatory and reflected glory through identification with Mary. I had to take a note. And I need to mark this page. Okay. Catholicism has offered women compensatory and reflected glory through identification with Mary. The inimitability. Fuck. This girl in these words. Inimitability of the Virgin Mary, of the Virgin Mother model, literally understood, has left all women essentially identified with Eve. At the same time, it has served to separate the feminine ideal of good from the active role attributed to Jesus. The vicarious derivative and the passive ideal of feminine good is partially identified with the Jesus model insofar as Jesus is seen as the symbol of Mary. Let's see, insofar as Jesus is seen as a victim. Oh, fuck. What? Y'all hear that? The vicarious derivative and passive ideal of feminine good is partially identified with Jesus, with the Jesus model, insofar as Jesus is seen as a victim. Yet it is also split off from the latter through reification in the symbol of Mary. This makes sense when one realizes that as the real scapegoats of patriarchy, women cannot effectively be identified with the Savior image. On one level, then, the Mary symbol functions to perpetuate the facade of semi-identification by relation of females with Christ, deflecting female outrage and inhibiting insight and hope. Yeah, oh my God. Y'all understand what she just said? She said the reason that Jesus has to be seen as a victim, that's his feminine aspect, is as a victim, is so that that aspect of his image, that aspect of his image that females relate to, the victim, is used deliberately to deflect female outrage. They can see themselves in him because he too is a victim. This is what tapers and tames their rage. Damn. As symbolically portrayed, then, Mary is good only in relation to Jesus. The only reason she's good is because she had Jesus. This fact was reinforced on one level of perception by the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception. Let's see. She talked about this a lot in Pure Lust. And I didn't even know that about the Immaculate Conception until we read Pure Lust. I thought the Immaculate Conception was that she got pregnant with Jesus without sex. I thought that was the Immaculate Conception. That's not the Immaculate Conception. So she goes on here. I need to purchase the book, The Murder of Venus, because I read that they unalived Inanna and Ashtoreth, goddess, who is the queen of heaven, Venus, and earth. What's the name of this book? The Murder of Venus. I did not know that when they talk about the Immaculate Conception, they're not talking about the conception of Christ in Mary. When the angel visits and says God's gonna make you pregnant, that's not the Immaculate Conception. Listen to this. As symbolically portrayed, then, Mary is good only in relation to Jesus. This fact was reinforced on one level of perception by the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception, the doctrine that Mary was conceived without original sin. Although the dogma gives also a contradictory message, as I will later show. So the Immaculate Conception, let me tell you, because in Pure Lust, she talks about when the Immaculate Conception doctrine, the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception, was created by the Roman Catholic Church as a what did they call it? As a response to the first wave of feminism in the late 1800s. That the concept of the Immaculate Conception did not exist in Catholic doctrine until the late 1800s as a direct response to the first wave of feminism. So the thing that they had to reconcile was, it wasn't just that Mary was a virgin that God saw fit to say she was worthy to carry the Son of God. That because there are plenty of female virgins where Catholicism is concerned, no matter how long you were a virgin, even if you was a virgin your whole life, you still filthy as a rag because you came through some woman's vagina and you had to have sex in order for you to be born. See, the sex is the crime. And so they had to reconcile this. Was what would make her worthy of carrying Jesus just being a virgin? No, she too had to be born of divine intervention. The doctrine of Immaculate Conception is about Mary's birth, that she too was born of a virgin. That she too was born of a virgin. Then why wasn't she Jesus? Why wasn't she the Christ? If she was born of a virgin, you know what I'm saying? Then why wasn't she the Christ? So, and what does this all sound like? Jesus and Mary, and then later on down the line, Mary has to be born of a virgin. Isn't this the two stories that we're always talking about that exist in every culture? That the mother who spontaneously procreates through parthenogenesis gives birth to a daughter. Isn't it the same story? And then the daughter gives birth to the first son. Isn't it the same story? This Immaculate Conception that they create in response to the second wave of feminism is the story of ancient times, right? Sharing with, let's see, we need our 2025 manifesto. Sharing with a reading list and conspiracies. It's a good idea. The manifesto thing. Let me show you. I ain't gonna be on here for 7 hours. But it's funny that you should say that, because I've been carrying this around in my purse, saying that I want to create something in this kind of way for the temple. And it is, I still have my Constitution of the African People's Socialist Party, my little pamphlet that I got when I first applied to the party. And so it's like the party's manifesto. It's like all the party rule of discipline, the pledge, the makeup of the whole organization, the breakdown, the political bureau, the central committee, the membership, how it happens. I was like, you know what? I should make something for the temple just like this. And I've been carrying it around for the last week, saying one of these days I'm gonna just sit down long enough to like just take some notes out of it so I can draft something for the temple in the same with the same kind of like at least outline. Hey, Aaron Pfeiffer, how you doing, dear? It's the same story. I was looking this up the other day, the birth of the first male on earth. I have a suspicion that Adam and Eve could be another spinoff of the same story. Quite possibly, because what do they say? That Adam was shaped from clay. Well, who do we know the great potter is? This is just one of the many stories usurped by the Levitical Jews in the Roman Empire turned Catholic Church. That in every culture, the great potter of man was a female deity. And so the Bible literally says that Adam was shaped from clay. So you might be onto something there, Aaron Pfeiffer. Give me a minute. I did purchase a book on as toward the vanished goddess. Now, y'all need to be sending this shit to me in my email. But yes, sharing it here too so other people can take notes of the ways that they're going to expand their book list. My book list is off the charts. I don't even have a crevice of space left in my home to place a book. So I still got a giant stack of books right to my left on the floor, trying to figure out where the hell I'm going to put them. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, so let's go on. This doctrine officially sets her apart from all other women as utterly unique and impossible model. It may be objected that this also sets her apart from men, but when the symbolism is seen in its full context, as expressed in the Catholic doctrine, it can be seen as intending to reinforce a sexual hierarchy for the Immaculate Conception occurred in anticipation of Christ's divinity. That is, Mary was said to have been immaculately conceived in order to be worthy to become the mother of Jesus, who was divine. She wasn't divine, but she had to be worthy to give birth to the divine. That is, Mary was said to have been immaculately conceived in order to be worthy to become the mother of Jesus, who was divine. Once again, the Marian doctrine reinforces a sexual caste. The inimitability of Mary conceived without sin ensures that all women, as women, are in the caste with Eve. At the same time, it reflects and reinforces duality of this status. Women who are related to men have to be seen by their men as exceptions in some way, just as Mary is good by reason of her relationship with Jesus. It is our relationship to men that makes us the exception to the rule. It is our relationship in proximity to males in some way that makes us exceptions to the rule that is Eve. That's Eve in the cast of Eve. Damn. It would be intolerable for men to view as entirely evil those who are related to them more or less as private property. In sharp contrast to this, women who are public property, notably prostitutes, can be all women, Eves, without the precarious identification with Mary and the privileged good women who have superimposed upon had superimposed upon femaleness as such. Yo, she said, for women to be seen always as inherently evil would be intolerable to men who actually have women in their proximity that they love even as the relationship to these women that they love is still basically as private property, they would be conflicted. It would be intolerable for them to see all women as bad, as evil. So the women that enter into their proximity are given some modicum amount of exception to the rule. And then there is a caste of women who are not an exception and who inhabit the evil of all women, notably prostitutes. So what she's saying essentially is that whatever happens to them is deserved as punishment for their inherent wickedness. Could this be the explanation for why so many like male serial killers, not all of them even serial killers, serial aggressors, serial rapists, target prostitutes, is because there is this inherent in the patriarchal society, this inherent deserving of punishment of women who are, quote, obviously evil. Prophetic dimensions of the image of Mary. The quasi-obliteration of Mary in Protestantism is well known. I've talked to y'all about this before, about how it probably needs to be a whole symposium that we have to do on the serious depth of damage that the Protestant Reformation of the Catholic Church did to the human psyche and the ways that played out, particularly in the slave trade. I don't know if y'all remember me talking about that, but it's like a soapbox that I really want to get into. And here she is mentioning it right here. The quasi-obliteration of Mary in Protestantism is well known. Tillage summarized the situation succinctly. Quote, "The Virgin Mary reveals nothing to Protestants," end quote. Some might claim that this signals a kind of advance for women, but the hypothesis is dubious. Protestant thinkers such as Robert McFay Brown have observed that Mariology is the area of greatest theological division between the Protestants and Catholics. Still, there seems to be harmonious accord on the fact of her subordinate role in redemption. The difference often seems to amount only to a matter of the extent of subordination or de-emphasis of Mary. Possibly this agreement on the matter of subordination could be considered a sort of symbolic ecumenical message to the women of the world. It was reaffirmed in chapter 8 of Lumen Gentium, the Constitution of the Church from Vatican Council II. If one looks at common objections of Protestants to the Catholic stress upon Mary, some important insights emerge. It is sometimes objected that she has been made almost equal to, or even perhaps more important than Jesus, that she appears somewhat as a goddess. It is occasionally also objected that the stress upon Mary as virgin distracts from women's role in marriage as wife and mother. I suggest that both of these objections strike precisely at elements in the Mary symbolism which, when selectively perceived, have broken out of the stranglehold of Christian patriarchalism and managed to convey a message partial and blurred of women's becoming. I suggest that such a process of selective perception has indeed taken place in the psyches of many people, and that this fact has to be understood if one is to grasp the import of the tremendous power that the image of Mary has wielded in the human imagination. This power has been operative despite all of the efforts to tame and domesticate it. Despite the simmering plaster statues, the saccharine prayers, sermons, poems, and hymns, and the sexist theology that has explained it. The following analysis is not an attempt to reinstate Mariology. It is not an effort to extract religious truth from time-conditioned categories. My method contains no built-in assumption that we should direct our efforts towards salvaging anything from the patriarchal past. I do not think that we should try to go back to an alleged pristine revelation within Christianity, nor do I assume that the history of the Mary symbol has any demonstrable connection with the historical mother of Jesus. The burden of my analysis is to show that the symbol has been a two-edged sword, despite the single-minded intentions of its male promoters, and to raise some questions about its origin, about the reason for its power, and about the fact that the most oppressive of Christian churches has captured and used this power. Let me give y'all a word. I wasn't going to. I was going to do a straight read, but let me tell you what happened last night. And we're sitting here reading about it right here. Last night I had a conversation with a sister who paints the goddess Guadalupe, or the Mother Guadalupe, which is, you know, the Mexican or Mayan version. At least that's how Catholics perceive it. Guadalupe is the Virgin Mary, right? They look exactly the same. And we were talking last night, a Mexican friend of mine. And we were talking, I've told y'all the story before, but I'm gonna tell you again. Remember, I was telling y'all how everything is a sleight of hands. So when pictures started circulating, photographs started circulating around the world of the Pope praying at an altar that had the Black Madonna and, you know, Jesus, right, in this shrine or whatever, and it showed the Pope on his knees praying to the Black Madonna, and then raising up and kissing the feet of the Black Madonna, and all the conscious Black men in the world was their default, they simplistic thinking when seeing these pictures of the Pope kissing the feet of the Black Madonna. I was seeing all these posts, pictures of, see, even they know that the Black woman is God. Even they know that the Black woman is God. And that was as deep as they could get. That was as deep as they could get, to be like saying even they know that the Black woman is God. See this white Pope is praying to Black Madonna, and he kissing the feet of the Black Madonna. See, even they believe that the Black woman is God. And I said to y'all, there was never a question that the Black woman was God. I said, what you are witnessing is a ritual. What you are witnessing when you see the Pope doing all of these little prostrations to these images of the Virgin Mary as the Black Madonna throughout the Vatican, you are witnessing a ritual, is what you're doing. What you're witnessing is a ritual, not adoration, not admonition, not reverence, not submission, not prostration. You're witnessing a ritual. And the thing that made me think about it, as soon as I saw these pictures circulating of this guy kissing the feet of the Black Madonna, instantly went back to a movie I haven't seen since I was like a teenager, maybe, or younger than that. The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy has to rescue this perfectly pure baby that has been birthed with the power to save the world, to save humanity. And the quote devil wants access to this power, and the only way he can get access to this power is to defile the baby. You feel me? But in the meantime, the baby's so powerful, they have to bind the baby's power, so he can't free himself. If he's the most powerful person ever incarnated and can save the world, then obviously he should have the power to free himself. And knowing that, the devil has the child sitting in a pyramidal, I think it's pyramidal, I might be imagining that. It might just have been a gold cage, but a gold cage. And on all four of the cardinal directions of this cage, he don't have Satanists. He don't have like witches. He has four monks, four Tibetan monks on all four corners of the baby, 24 hours a day, repeating mantra, repeating mantra, repeating mantra, repeating mantra, to bind the power of this child so that the child can't save the world. I said, that's what you're witnessing in the Vatican. That's what you're witnessing in the Vatican. This little bullshit ass display he made to kiss the feet is a sleight of hands. To kiss the feet, to show reverence to the Black Madonna. Meanwhile, she's held hostage in the Vatican, surrounded only by men 24 hours a day who are dressed in the mother's garments. What are the colors that the men inside the Vatican wear? White, black, and red. Anybody remember where I told y'all that came from? Anybody? The red, the black, and the white? Dresses, robes that the males are wearing inside the Vatican. Thank you, Java Watson. Thank you, Java Watson. It is the colors of the guardians of this realm, the owners and controllers of this realm, the Iami Age, with all the punishing and judgment powers, the Iami Age, the white, the red, and the black. Those are the colors. And every now and again, under some extremely important circumstance, the Pope will wear purple. Like when I say hidden in plain sight, yo shit, hidden in plain sight. Okay. So anyway, that's why I got on that, was about what did I just read? Constitution of the Vatican, sexist theology, prayers, sermons, and hymns. Right. Oh, so the last thing I told the sister when I was saying, making this connection between recognizing what you're looking at as ritual. I said, look, why is the Pope making this public display and declaration in the Vatican to the feet of the Black Madonna? Why is he doing that? There's white images of Virgin Mary and Jesus. Why the Black Madonna? You know what I'm saying? I said, this is a ritual. She is held hostage 24 hours a day, surrounded by men, donning her colors and attempting to exercise her power to dominate her. That's a ritual. That's what's happening, right? But that's not the only place that is happening. That's not the only place that is happening. Go on YouTube and you'll see multiple videos of thousands of men 24 hours a day for hundreds of years, thousands and thousands of men all wearing white and dancing counterclockwise around a giant black box, hoping that in their homage around the thing, around the black box, the sacred black box, hoping and struggling as they can in their time to get as close as they can, because if they can get close enough, they may be one of the lucky few who get to kiss the black box. And it's no mystery that there's circulating all over the place these ideas that the black box is the yoni with an actual clitoris. And these men, by the thousands, who literally spend their whole lives trying to make their Hajj to Mecca, to stand in unison. What did Malcolm X say when he went and made his Hajj? I was sitting and dancing and talking with Muslims who had blonde hair and blue eyes. Men of every race, men of every color, joined in unison, joined in a singular unity to do what? To dance counterclockwise. What did I tell you the dance counterclockwise was for? Those of you who were in the ritual the other night, when I was struggling with you guys to dance. that everything was purposeful. To dance counterclockwise is to destroy whatever your energy is focused on. Is to destroy. The goddess's dance counterclockwise is destruction. The dance clockwise is creation. And you think it's just cultural tradition that they make their Hajj to show their devotion to Allah, that they circle around 24 hours a day. There are people dancing around the Black Stone at Mecca 24 hours a day, right? Dancing the dance of destruction against the Black primordial mother. Whether they know it or not doesn't matter. They may really believe that this thing is something that's allowing them to communicate with Allah, who is a myth. Allah was just like Jesus. He was a mythological usurper of the powers of the true God of that area, the is it Iranian goddess Alat. Alat. You see? And then he absorbs all of the mythologies that were peculiar to her and then erase her out of existence. So here they are, devoting their whole life to the vision in the day where they too can make their Hajj, to show their devotion to this singular idea, this singular mission, which is the dance of destruction to forever control the Black primordial one. This is a ritual. Hebrews, Jews, Judaistic practitioners, they too have chanting down ceremonies, ritual ceremonies to maintain their power over the divine feminine. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Catholics, too, female and male Catholics are consistently participating in ceremony, whether they're conscious of the intention, of the insidious, deep, mysterious, unknown intention of the creation of the ceremony. Catholics too have rosaries that they stole. The idea of Catholic rosaries actually came from India. They too have rosaries that they use and they count. They pray the prayer in repetition, in ritualistic repetition by every bead, so that they do the prayer 109 or 108 times. 108 times. There are 108 beads. The mother's divine number, the number 9. In all the traditions that use them, the rosary, the mala, there's 108 beads. And they chanting, they prayer by using the beads to count every bead so they don't lose count until they get to the end. And we got a problem. Like that ritual that we did on Tuesday night, that times a million. Because when I tell you that these religions are using the emotional, powerful energy of human beings to forever suppress the mother. Every culture, Hindus, Buddhists, they don't know that's what they're doing. They're just adhering to their ancestral cultural traditions, and it's always been done that way. But those who are the dominators, the controllers, the custodians of those traditions know exactly what it's for. That's why they all look so similar. It's spell casting is what it is. It's ritual to subdue. We talk about binding rituals all the time as witches, right? Binding a person who we know is directly targeting us, binding them, you feel me? Binding any power that they may have to negatively impact our life. Don't we do that? Our opposition does that to us. And so we always talk about, it's crazy. I just feel like there's so many blocks in my life. Like when I had just one little minor breakthrough, another block comes up. You think it's some inherent flaw on your part, that you just ain't doing your manifestations religiously enough. You ain't doing your affirmations religiously enough. That the reason you ain't rich yet is because you still got patterns and trauma that are creating blocks to your wealth and shit. Fuck. No, bitch. Your ass has been spell casted on since day one. That's why we need the goddamn global exorcism. That's why when I said I'm going to be trying to create at minimum a talisman, a singular like clay talisman where I infuse the prayers that y'all put in this little thing, in this little cauldron, so that each one of you can have in your pocket a little material representation of the jack move that we pulled on November 19th. Now it's in your pocket. Now, whenever you see it, your energy, your thoughts go exactly to what it is. That powerful conspiracy that we executed. Let me, you know what? Since I'm thinking about it, you know what? Let me go ahead and do that now. And then say out loud the conspiracy. Let's see. Oh yeah, that was, yeah. Thank you, Tajali. I was going to mention the Wailing Wall, and that's part of. Let's see. Let's see. This gives understanding to why Diddy has a back tattoo of Erzulie Danto, the patron saint of motherhood. You know what? Damn, this shit is crazy. I can't remember the movie. Y'all know I think in movies, but there was a movie about that. There was a movie. What? I don't even remember what kind of movie it was, but I remember an image of a dude, a big burly dude who had a full-size back tattoo of like this beautiful woman or whatever, right? And he was always walking around without a shirt on so people could see this beautiful back tattoo of this woman. And come to find out, he had like some kind of evil power or something. And the back tattoo was not a back tattoo. It was a woman that he had imprisoned in his body. And the power that he had was her power. As long as she was imprisoned in his body, he could exploit her power. And like there was a scene where she was like trying to wiggle, like kind of wiggle out of his back, like trying to come out of his back. That sound familiar to anybody? That's the only thing I remember. When Tajli just said this gives some understanding to why Diddy has this back tattoo of Erzulie Danto, the patron saint of motherhood. That was the first image that came. I don't even remember the movie. I don't remember nothing about the movie, but I remember clearly seeing that image and being shook to shit. Because most of the movie he's walking around without his shirt on, people commenting on this beautiful back tattoo he got, and then something happens and the bitch was trying to break loose. She was trying to get out, and he was able to suppress her. And this is how he was getting his power, was imprisoning this woman in what others thought was just a tattoo. Literally absorbing her essence. Let's see. Then they kiss it so they can absorb their sins. No. There's something, I can't remember. I can't think clearly. There's something about it. Oh, let me write this down. Samara, no. You said then they kiss it so they can absorb their sins. No. We have to research this. All of us, we should research this. But there's I've read somewhere, I don't remember, but it's something about the significance of kissing. And it's like not just regular kissing, but like kissing like with malevolent intention. You know what I'm saying? Like kissing with a malevolent intention. Fuck. So I can't remember it. But there's something about, we'll have to Google it. Something about kissing with malevolent intent, almost like a spell. kissing, which would make sense about what I just said earlier about the displays of the Pope kissing the feet of the Black Madonna. If he's doing it malevolently, then that would explain also like the spell casting aspect of it. I'm glad you mentioned that, because the other thing that I thought about right away was in the Bible, this was how Judas betrayed Jesus, was with a kiss, right? He said, I'm going to kiss Jesus. That's how you're going to know who it is, right? So there is this, and I've read it in other places, but for right now I can't recall anything. But that kissing, you know, like malevolently or something like that. So let's get into that, figure out what that is. And that's part of the same black stone that the priestesses used to worship at. They believed that it was a piece from the sky from the old woman. That too is interesting, Samara, because I have gone into wormhole conspiracies about the black stone, because some people say it's like a piece of a meteor, like an ancient meteor or whatever, and that it's never moved. It's been there since it fell to the earth. But then there's a whole bunch of people, and I mentioned this to the sister the other night that I was talking about the Black Madonna with, is that there's this whole series of conspiracy theories called the black box conspiracies, and or the black cube, excuse me, the black cube conspiracies. And they're all centered around this still sleight of hand shit. How, you know, the Illuminati and the Freemasons and all of these, every time you see like all of these structures, like all these buildings now that are built like black cubes, all these structures that are built like black cubes, this is supposed to be, every time you see a black cube, this cube is like an occult, the evidence of occult activity where that cube is constructed. And these cults are all tied to essentially what is the satanic worship of the planet Saturn. It is supposed to be a nod, an occult nod to the hexagon, the natural phenomena at the North Pole of Saturn that forms a perfect, it's an atmospheric anomaly on the North Pole of Saturn that forms a perfect six-sided, you know, like a cube, right? And so because Christianity and all of these other occult spaces have identified the planet Saturn with Satan, right? Whenever you see these cubes, supposedly this is the nod to the occult significance of the planet Saturn as Satan. So when you offer something like this is where the goddesses used to worship at, and this was from the old woman, this is a roundabout way to talk about what we talked about a few months ago when I started, because I got a Capricorn moon, trying to resolve or reconcile my relationship with Saturn and Capricorn, you feel me? And so I started Googling Saturn as female, Saturn as a female goddess, and we came up with what? That before ancient Greece, the ancient Greece taking over some of these pagan societies, Saturn was referred to as what? Great grandmother crone. And then when the Greeks conquered, they didn't even bother changing her name, and they turned crone, great grandmother crone, into Cronus, right? And so this is interesting. I love this shit. I love when we do this shit. I don't love when we do this shit for hours and hours and hours, but I love this shit. Let's see. When the Jews go to the Wailing Wall and do that rocking motion, they are raping the black goddess and reading their incantations. Woo, that's deep. It's deep. Every president has to go to that wall and be blessed before the inauguration. What? I ain't never heard that. What? This shit just be too deep. It'd be too much for me. It'd be too deep. So this is like a panorama, or are you trying to say paranormal? So this is a paranormal. This is like on paranormal, where a story had to be read every year to keep the girl witch asleep or pacified. But once the story was not read, her wrath reigned. What? I ain't seen this show. It's called Paranormal. Let's see. Damn. Let's see. What's Red Dragon? What's Ahart? What's Red Dragon? It was something like that in the movie Gothica. I loved Gothica. What are you referring to? Oh yeah. Oh my God. Gothica is worth a revisit because of the heavy Christian symbolism and the fact that they institutionalized this woman so they didn't believe anything she was saying about what was happening with her because she was talking in Catholic symbolism or something, right? Shit, child. See how we get up in here like this? Hold on. Gothica is damn sure worth a revisit. I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about, Ahart. What's this red dragon thing? You just put red dragon in a question mark. What's that about? The Illustrated Man. Is that the movie? It doesn't sound familiar. I don't remember. I swear that's and y'all know I got an elephant memory. It's the only thing I remember about that movie. Was this woman attempting to escape his back where he had been holding her hostage. Damn. Maybe it was like I don't know. I don't remember at all. Let's see. Yes, if the stone is taking on their sins, then it is therefore consecrated. It says it will. Oh, I see. Okay, so based on their belief about the stone, that if they have the ability to kiss the stone, they'll be absolved of all their sins. That ain't the only thing. That ain't the only thing Muslims do. Islamic Muslims do. What do? How many times a day they pray? How many times they face the east to pray? No matter where they are in the world. They don't have to meet, don't have to know each other. At the same time, throughout the day, no matter what they're doing, men are all going to fall on their knees and pray to the east where the sun rises. Where the sun rises. In one accord around the globe. Possibly billions of Muslims fortifying this spell that they cast on the mother. Feel me? It also mimics the storm. That's why I was saying the atmospheric anomaly on the surface of Saturn, the storm in the shape of the cube. Rabbinical Jews wear black boxes on their foreheads. I forgot about that. Yep, that was a part of the conspiracy. They mentioned the rabbinical Jews. Can't stop thinking of the Godfather kiss. Yes, it's something deeper. I read something very specific. Even the whole concept of the kiss of death. You feel me? It's like there are stories about like the malevolent aspect of kisses, or like, yeah. Let's see. I've been digging into the Saturn worship for the past few weeks. The big Saturn. I know that the big holiday is coming up. That's why I'm doing the winter solstice thing. The winter solstice is on the 21st, and typically, or at least historically, Saturnalia was practiced on. If it was a singular day, it was on the 22nd. But ideally, they would do this festival called Saturnalia, I think for 6 or 7 days, the day before the solstice, all the way through the 7 days. But yeah, the winter solstice, like I mean, there ain't a lot that I can incorporate because Saturnalia was the turn up. Like Saturnalia was like, you know, it was like heavily dominated by sexual activity, Saturnalia. But anyway, Paranorman. Oh, is that the movie? Okay, I would have been looking for something totally else. Paranorman. Never even heard of it. Yeah, Gothica was really good. That was a hard watch though. Laugh out loud. I think a Heart was asking if the movie was called Red Dragon. Oh, okay. I see. I was totally confused. Still don't know. Ain't no point in asking me the name of the movie because I don't know. Unless you just definitely know, I don't know. Like it's literally the only frame of reference. It's the only thing I remember. Paranorman is a child's movie. Yeah, I have the Judas Kiss written in my notes. I hear a humbling in the spirit of the second night. I hear a humbling in the spirit. In the spirit, this is the second night. Interesting. Yeah, I'll tell you something. Since we did that ritual on Tuesday night, I just I feel weird. I was sat on the couch today, like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I kept saying that. I was like, but there's nothing wrong, but what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I don't know, and I can't articulate it, so I have to think about it a little while. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. Prophetic, and where we leave off, theology. Okay, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm tired now. The following analysis is not an attempt. Okay, two-edged sword. Oh, that was why I got on all of that. The burden of my analysis is to show that the symbol has been a two-edged sword, despite the single-minded intentions of its male promoters. That's what I was talking about. The single-minded intentions of its male promoters, these religious institutions. She's just talking about the image of Mary, but I'm talking about all the things that I just mentioned. The ritualistic casting of spells to forever subdue the emerging, what did she say? The deflecting of female outrage and in the simultaneous inhibiting of insight and hope. You feel me? Let's see. And to raise some questions about its origin, about the reason for its power, and about the fact that the most oppressive of Christian churches has captured and used this power. The sometimes, what did Mary Daly say about that? She was talking about when women, this is a horrible paraphrase, but something to the effect of at the moment when women collectively remember their true power, their deep, unleash their deep memory. She said something to the effect of the priest of these ancient religions will be forever left alone to mop their own damn floors, or something to that effect, right? Let's see. The sometimes godlike status of Mary, always officially denied in Roman Catholicism, of course, may be, as Simone de Beauvoir suggests, a remnant of an ancient image of the mother goddess, enchained and subordinated within Christianity as the mother of God. Yes, if it is a leftover, it may also be a foretelling image pointing to the future becoming of women into the image of God. This point will be developed later in this chapter. The image of Mary as virgin, moreover, has has an unintended aspect of pointing toward independence for women. This aspect of the symbol is, of course, generally unnoticed by theologians. Gordon Kaufman, for example, noting rightly that the church is responsible for many confused and even absurd opinions about Christological questions, then goes on to say that the doctrine of the virgin birth is one of the earliest and most unfortunate of these confusions. He adds that the doctrine is an attempt to understand the theological fact that for faith, Jesus Christ is Son of God. One significant point about this interpretation is the fact that typically, even a progressive Christian theologian finds the virgin birth doctrine more absurd than the idea that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. What is more interesting and more to the point here is the fact that he sees the virgin birth doctrine as significant only in relation to Christ. The prophetic aspect of the virgin symbol is precisely what he does not see. Another respected contemporary theologian, John Macquarrie, although he is somewhat more flexible on the virgin birth doctrine, exhibits the same propensity to perceive this in purely rational terms. He writes, quote, "The question to be considered is whether this doctrine helps to explicate the person of Christ, whether it enables us to better see Jesus as the incarnate word." Later he adds, "The doctrine of the virgin birth is meant to point to Christ's origin in God." So also Karl Barth wrote that the doctrine of the virgin birth upholds the divine initiative in the incarnation. The point of interest here is that the fact that even what would seem to be the most non-rational aspect of the symbol of Mary, the idea of her virginity, is comprehended by male theologians only in a rational way, having significance only as tied to the male Savior and the male God. In contrast to this contextual understanding of the virgin symbol in Christianity, the symbol itself, taken out of this context, could be heard, and sometimes has been heard, to say something else. The woman who is defined as virgin is not defined exclusively by her relationships with men. Of course, if this is taken on a biological level, one could say that she is being defined merely by what she does not do sexually, which is still a kind of inverse sexual and relational definition. However, even the Mariological tradition works against this biological and inverse relational interpretation. Mary was said to have been a virgin before, during, and after the birth of Jesus. This can be heard in such a way that by its very absurdity it literally screams that biology and abstinence from sexual activity are not the essential dimensions of the symbol of Mary as virgin. Sprung free of its Christolatrous context, it says something about female autonomy. The message of independence in the virgin symbol can itself be understood apart from the matter of sexual relationships with men. When this aspect of the symbol is sifted out from patriarchal setting, then the Virgin Mother can be heard to say something about female autonomy within the context of sexual and parental relationships. Whoa. This is a message which I believe many women throughout the centuries of Christian culture have managed to take from the overtly sexist Marian doctrines. On a functional level, Protestant obliteration of the virgin ideal has to some extent served the purpose of reducing women's role exclusively to that of the wife and mother, safely domesticated within the boundaries of the patriarchal family. Within Catholicism, the actual living out of the virgin model has, of course, been less than totally liberating. Nuns have, in a limited sense, been removed from male domination. That is, the domination has been from a distance and often indirect. Yet they have been cloistered by patriarchal power, often physically and nearly always psychologically and socially. In spite of this, some strong independent women have emerged within Catholicism, perhaps partially because of the sort of mental screening process I have described. Aided by such screening mechanisms, some women have managed to absorb from the Mary image a vision of the free and independent woman who stands alone. Thus, the rational aspect of the symbol has been minimized, though seldom totally discarded. In contrast to this, women in Protestant Christianity appear to have been thrown back into the ambiguous situation of having only Jesus as a symbol model, an impossible model, especially for women, as I have attempted to show. Concretely, instead of having the nun as religious ideal, Protestant women have been offered the picture of the minister's wife. Clearly, this has hardly been a liberating image. It is evident then that women can look neither to Catholicism nor to Protestantism for adequate models of liberation. Yet it is important to be aware of subintended dimensions of Marian dogmas, since an analysis of these reveal the dynamics of co-optation of female power. I will briefly examine two major Okay, so this section is a little bit longer than they have been in the past. I think that's where I'm going to stop. Yeah, because it's still like 3 more pages till the next session. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop there. So for those of you that have been following along, we're ending on page 86. Those of you who came in late, we're reading from Beyond God the Father and Toward a Philosophy of Women's Liberation by Mary Daly. And I'll debate about whether I'm going to read tomorrow or not. I have a lot to do. But anyway, it was a great discussion. I really appreciate everybody participating in contributing new seeds of wormholes for me to dig into. Yeah. It'd be dope if like maybe sometime in the new year we can do like a writer's retreat or something like that, where whatever. I'm tired. All right. Let's see. Oh, did y'all have? When I was a kid, I literally thought Mary was a part of the Trinity. I think that's all the comments. So I will reiterate. Make contributions to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Book your readings with myself if you need a reading. Email me at evometemp@gmail.com. That's evoemetemp@gmail.com. And also email me and put conspiracies in the subject header if you need me to email you those two conspiracies. Share my content with others. Share my content with others. Please and thank you. I think that's all I got. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for your patience. I'm very appreciative for your sharing and time. Thank you so much, sister. Thanks, everybody, for rocking with me for almost 3 hours now. And I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to do a live tomorrow, but I don't know what it's going to be on. I don't know if I'm going to read or if it's going to be something else, but I will do a live tomorrow. Okay? All right. Take care. I love you all. That's it. Take care.